This is the episode where I bake some stunning loaves, and I'm going to show you all of the steps. I am Eric, this is a Loudboy Experience, and let's go bake.
$400 of whole wheat flour, followed by 400 grams of strong white flour. This is the half and half loaf. 17 grams of yeast on one side of the bowl, and 16 grams of salt on the other side of the bowl. 50 grams of either unsalted butter, or you can use salted. It will, if anything, it'll probably help the taste some. 500 milliliters of water. I'm going to put only part of it in for now. Now we're going to use our stand mixer with the dough hook. And at first we're going to turn it on slow. Adding some more water now. It's picking up more and more of the flour on the side of the bowl. A lot of times I will do this by hand. However, when I'm not able to, or I simply don't want to, I let this dough hook, it is my time machine. Now when you knead bread by hand, you need a good, I've heard 5 to 10 minutes. It's probably closer to 10 minutes. It's more like 7 to 10 minutes. When you see the dough becoming a ball, that's when you know you're getting close. Now, only after a few minutes, you can see that we're getting a good stretch here. I don't think we're quite there. I do plan on finishing this by hand. The dough has really formed a pretty tight ball, if you will, or structure around the dough hook. That means it's time to go to the board, finish this by hand, and then we can go and do our first prove. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to oil our board. Some olive oil. At this point, do not use flour. I learned this from Paul Hollywood. Adding flour only changes your bread, and not for the better. This is what we needed in the mixer. Out onto the board. And already I can tell that this dough, you see that nice smooth surface there? Nice smooth surface. Yeah, this stuff's pretty much ready to go to prove already. So, what I'm going to do is kind of fold this up and flatten it out again. Fold it over again. Turn, give it a good stretch. Stretch over again. And what we're doing, as the yeast work and do their job and expand during the proof, the folding action, I believe, actually helps with the overall structure of the bread. Okay? And we're going to do even more of that folding. I'm using the resistance of the board, which keeps moving, of course. Resistance of the board to build a nice, tight ball. And already, that's nice. You can see how it bounces back quickly. See how that bounces back? The yeast are already working. The gluten is formed really well. Bounces back pretty darn quickly. It's nice and smooth. And this is ready to prove. Gonna do a little glug of olive oil here. Smooth that around a little bit inside this. This is one of the proving containers that I got for Christmas from my daughter. Thank you, Aiden. All right, oil's in. Got our ball. We drop it in, and then we seal it up. Sealed up. and ready to prove. Hours of proving, and now we've more than doubled in size. What's great is that, can you see those fine little pockets of air in there? That will be the structure, basically, of the bread. After we prove it again in their loaf tins, and the yeast have been actively working. Check this out. Isn't that great? Air bubble. Watch this. See that? How the gluten has worked and how it's risen. So what we do is, my board is still, there's some oil from our proving container already on the bread, and there's some on the board still. Really nice and pliable. And what we're going to do now is knock out the air, okay? Because we want this to work again as it proves in the tins. So we're just knocking out this air. Now basically at this point, we are going to work this into two separate balls. That's right. Nice, smooth. See how that bounces back? Okay. What we can do now is get my board scraper, give it a good cut down the middle. Now we have two. And what we're going to do is, still knocking some of the air out. Okay, just felt another air bubble go there. And we're going to fold this over on itself, like that. I'm not happy with that. Let's try that again. So what we're doing is we're prepping this for the tins. There we go. So at this point, I'm actually going to throw down a little bit of flour. I think it'll make it a little bit easier to work. Because we did introduce quite a bit of oil. There, that's nice and smooth. Now for this one, punch it out. I'm going to fold it over on itself like this. Folding it over. Get some more, a little bit more flour here. And the board is tightening the surface of our dough. Okay, now we have two tins, a little glug of olive oil in there. I'm going to spread that around the sides. Pat that down into the tin like this. Pat that down. And again, after the first proof, There's still a few bubbles that I'm knocking out in here. There we go. It will expand. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but yes, I'm slowly reaching the corners here. Trying to maintain so I want that to be nice and smooth on top. And as it expands, it'll smooth out some. But what you see now is generally what the bread will look like, because after the second proof, we will take this directly to the stove. Now check these out. Check out this side. See how deep they are in here? We're going to check back after they do their second proof, and they should have risen quite a bit. We're going to let these sit for probably a couple more hours. Now that the loaves have been proved a second time, they have more than doubled, 430 degrees. Now we're going to put the loaves in, 430 degrees, and before we shut the door, we're going to put water in our roasting pan down here to create steam, and we're going to cook these for about 30 minutes. So the loaves are out of the oven, baked all the way through. You can actually kind of see what the structure looks like inside this bread. It'll look like that inside as well. Top to bottom distribution of air bubbles in the texture. At this point, what we're going to do is let them cool on a baking rack. Now that the bread is cooled to room temperature, we're going to cut into it for the first time. Check that out. Really good structure from top to bottom. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. This is going to make some wonderful sandwiches. And actually, I think I'm going to make some toast. A little bit of butter on that. See how springy that is? How soft this is? I am thrilled with this recipe. So what I did is I took Paul Hollywood's recipe for a regular white tin loaf of bread, and I doubled it, except the other half of the recipe I replaced with whole wheat flour. Thank you, Paul Hollywood, for your wonderful recipe. And I just am really fortunate that adding that whole wheat, it just turned into a loaf that is both delicious and springy and soft. It's going to make some wonderful stuff. I really look forward to this.
This is some of the best bread I've ever made. And as you can see here, I've toasted it and put just regular salted butter on it. Check out my playlist with my other baking videos. There are several about making a sourdough starter, feeding a sourdough starter, working with sourdough starters to make sourdough bread. And upcoming, we're going to do some pizza as well. And I want to explore some other things like quick breads and stuff like that. But for now, I'm so thankful you're here. I'm rediscovering baking, relearning baking. And once again, I want to thank Paul Hollywood for inspiring me, for some of his recipes, and for teaching me volumes about baking. Guys, I've got a great piece of toast here with some butter on it. Man, that's good. Join me next time. You guys have a good night.